Hello footy fans, welcome to another episode of Bev's Footy Tips, this one for round 17 of the 2022 AFL season. What a season it's turning out to be, by the way. So exciting, there's still a couple of teams outside the 8 that can jump into the 8 if they are good enough. Round 17 is set to be another ripper-dipper round, but before we get into it, we need to cover some round 16 matters in the Bev Show tipping competition. Let's get straight into taking a look at the round 16 winner of the Bev Show tipping comp, and it's a big congratulations to Free Kick Carlton for Aiden. He correctly guessed 9 out of the 9 matches correct. Well done to you, Aiden. A big round of applause to you, mate. Whoa, you beauty. Enormous stuff. Getting all the matches correct. It takes him to 85 total tips. Aiden, you're laughing after round 16, mate. Congratulations to you. Here's how the overall leaderboard looks after 16 rounds of footy. Prouthouse maintains the lead. He's on 99 total tips, but P. Cripps is breathing down his neck. He's in second spot, also on 99 total tips. And then we've got a few tipsters on 98 total tips. Scotty Ez, he's risen from 5th to 3rd after 16 rounds. Cats Fan is in 4th. Hayden Burke in 5th. And Cade Fagan in 6th. He was 3rd last round, but he's dropped to 6th, although he's on 98 total tips as well. And of course, the margin difference separating those 4 tipsters from 3rd to 6th. So that is the Bev Show leaderboard after 16 rounds of footy. Let's take a look back at my tips now. I tipped Brisbane over the Western Bulldogs. I tipped Carlton over St Kilda. I tipped Sydney over Essendon. I tipped Melbourne over Adelaide. I tipped Geelong over North Melbourne. I tipped Collingwood over Gold Coast. Glad I got that tip right. I tipped Richmond over West Coast. I tipped Hawthorn over GWS. Shocking tip, that one, in the end. And then in the last game of the round, I tipped Fremantle over Port Adelaide. So, not a great round from me, just 6 out of 9 correct, brings me to a total of 93 total tips. It's fair to say the Hawthorn game probably cost me in that round. I probably should have went the safe option and tipped GWS. But anyway, I've got a chance to redeem myself in round 17, although there's a few tough games in the upcoming round. One of those tricky games is on Thursday night at GMHBA Stadium. What a game this is set to be. It's an absolute ripper, a great way to start round 17. It's Geelong taking on Melbourne. It's a top-of-the-table clash, second v first, and this game getting underway at 7:20pm. Of course, it was only 2 weeks ago we saw a top-of-the-table clash between Melbourne and Brisbane, but that game didn't quite live up to expectations in the end, with Melbourne getting a 60-plus point win on that night. Both teams are coming off wins in the previous round. In fact, Geelong have won their last 6. They're in red-hot form. They've got a red-hot streak. And Melbourne have won their last 2 after dropping 3 games in a row. Melbourne are going to get back Gawn and Jackson, which are huge ins for them. Geelong are going to be without Tom Stewart. They got away with it last weekend because they were playing North Melbourne, but not sure if they'll be able to get away with it in this match against Melbourne. I am cautious about tipping against Geelong at GMHBA because they're always so hard to beat at the Cattery, but I am going to do it. I'm going to tip Melbourne. I feel like they're the stronger team out of the two. I feel like this game has the potential to be won in the centre, and you look at the two midfields on paper, Melbourne's midfield is clearly the strongest, but of course Geelong might have the stronger forward line with the likes of Cameron and Hawkins, so Melbourne's defence is going to really have to be on the ball, you would think. But tipping Melbourne, I think it's going to be a good game, so I'm going to tip them by 8 points. Let's hope it's a thrilling top-of-the-table clash to start a big round of footy. Friday night footy heads to the SCG this weekend. It's the Sydney Swans taking on the Western Bulldogs. This game getting underway at 7:50pm. It is 8th v 10th. This is a big game for both teams and their top 8 chances. If the Swans lose this game, they could be outside the 8 come the end of the round. But if they win, they keep their place in the 8 and keep their finals chances rolling along. For the Western Bulldogs, if they win this, they go level on points with the Swans. They're a game behind the Swans right now, but if they lose, they then are 2 games behind the Swans. For me, this is a must-win game for the Dogs. If they lose, I think it's unlikely that they will make the finals. I'm not ruling them out completely, but given their run home, they've got St Kilda, Fremantle to come after this, and they're not going to be easy at all, those opponents. And then they've also got Geelong and Melbourne to come, and I can't see them winning those 2 games, especially Geelong at GMHBA. So this is really a must-win game for the Dogs. Probably technically a must-win game for both teams, but probably more so for the Dogs given their position at the moment. Of course, these 2 teams met back in round 3. The Dogs got the job done there by 11 points at Marvel Stadium. They could have won by more. They were inaccurate that night. Hopefully the ground holds up. I know that Sydney, New South Wales have been smashed with rain over the last few days. And of course, my thoughts with everyone up there. Hope you're all safe. I'm tipping the Dogs. I'm putting faith in my team. Of course, both teams coming off losses, so both teams a bit out of form, but yeah, tipping the Dogs. I'm putting my full faith in my team, and like I said, if they lose this, well, finals look unlikely. On Saturday afternoon, it is Collingwood taking on North Melbourne at the MCG. This game getting underway at 1:45pm. Going to keep this tip relatively short. Tipping Collingwood for obvious reasons. They've won their last 6. They're looking like a team that will make the finals this September. And North Melbourne, well, they're bottom of the ladder. They've got the 1 win, and they are a dismal football club at the moment. So Collingwood should easily get the job done on Saturday afternoon. At 4:35pm on Saturday, it's the Gold Coast Suns taking on Richmond at Metricon Stadium. I think this game has the potential to be a good one. I do expect it to be close. The Gold Coast Suns, they've lost their last 2, but only by narrow margins. They've showed plenty of fight in both games, and they were probably unlucky not to win against Collingwood last Saturday night. They had a 14-point lead at one stage in the 4th quarter, but Collingwood, they got the momentum at the right time, and they were able to come from behind and win that game in the finish. It was announced today that Stuart Dew keeps his job for another 2 years. And I think Gold Coast, they won't make finals this year, but I think they'll play finals next year. I'm locking them in for top 8 in 2023. They're taking on a Richmond team who are coming off a good win in the end against West Coast, albeit the Eagles took it up to them, but the Tigers were just too strong in the finish. I think Richmond have the potential to make top 4 in the remaining games, and because of that, I'm expecting the Tigers to win this game. But like I said, I think this game will be close, and it wouldn't surprise if the Gold Coast Suns were to get the job done, but I think the Tigers are the better team by a narrow margin. 2 Saturday night matches, the first of them at Marvel Stadium beginning at 7:25pm at St Kilda taking on Fremantle. Big game this one. Of course, these 2 teams met way back in round 2, and it was St Kilda by 10 points over there in the West. Well done to St Kilda. They broke a 3-game losing streak against Carlton last Friday night. They definitely looked the better team in that 15-point win. Their ball use was a lot better than previous weeks, and it was a good win, but my query with St Kilda now is, can they go on with it? Can they produce that level of footy moving forward throughout the rest of the season? We know their best is good enough to make the 8. I believe that anyway, but it's all about trust now, isn't it, with St Kilda? And they're taking on a Fremantle team who also won in the previous round. They got the job done over Port Adelaide by 9 points. They did lead by as much as 40 points at one stage, but Port Adelaide came back and nearly won the match, but the Dockers were able to hold on in a game where they dominated clearances. 50-50 game, this one. I think most people might maybe be going St Kilda because it's at Marvel, but I keep going back to that Dockers win against Melbourne a few weeks ago. Like, if they can produce that against St Kilda, then I think they're the better team, and I think they are the better team on paper. So I'm tipping the Dockers. Not a lot of confidence with that tip though, because, yeah, it could go either way. The other Saturday night match is at the Adelaide Oval. It's Port Adelaide taking on the Greater Western Sydney Giants. This game getting underway at 7:30 p.m. This is 12 v 13th, but don't be deceived with how close they are on the ladder, because Port Adelaide are 2 games ahead of GWS. Of course, the Giants coming off a win in the wet against Hawthorn last weekend. Look, given this game is at the Adelaide Oval, and given Port Adelaide are still a chance slightly to make the 8, I don't think they'll make finals though, for the record, but given they're a slight chance to still play finals, and given they look the better team, I'd have to say Port Adelaide win this. So power my tip in that one. The first of 3 Sunday matches, the Brisbane Lions taking on Essendon at the Gabba. This game getting underway at 1:10 p.m. Both teams coming off wins in the previous round. The Brisbane Lions bounced back into form and recorded a 41-point win over my beloved Doggies. They're taking on Essendon, who also produced a win in the previous round. An upset win over Sydney at the MCG by 9 points. These two teams meet for the second time this season. They met in round 2 in Melbourne. It was the Brisbane Lions getting the job done by 22 points on that occasion. Given this game is at the Gabba, you just have to tip the Brisbane Lions. And they've had a big break too. They played last Thursday night, and they play on Sunday. So they've had a big break in between games, and they should be way too good for the Bombers, I would expect. The mid-Sunday afternoon match is at Marvel Stadium, 3:20 p.m. start time. It's Hawthorn taking on the Adelaide Crows. This game's a tough one. They're both in similar positions on the ladder. Adelaide are 14th, a game ahead of Hawthorn, who are 15th on the ladder. So this game is a 50-50. Could go either way. Hawthorn have lost their last 6 games, I think. The Crows have won 2 of their last 4 games. Crows are probably the better form team out of the 2, but I feel like if I tip against Hawthorn, they're going to get the job done, because I tipped them last week and they let me down. They weren't bad last week against the Giants. The Giants were probably tougher for longer in those wet conditions up there at Giants Stadium. The Crows really did take it up to the D's last week. They were down by 5 points at one stage in the fourth quarter, but that margin blew out to 29 points as the fourth quarter went on. Yeah, I'm going to tip Hawthorn, but I'm not confident with that tip. Very tough game, this one. Very tough. Wouldn't be surprised if the Crows got the job done, though. And the final game of the round is in the West at Optus Stadium. The West Coast Eagles taking on Carlton. This game getting underway at 4:40 p.m. This game has the potential to be a good one, especially given the fact that West Coast, they are a different team in this half of the season. They took it up to Richmond last week. The previous week, they got a win against the Bombers. You go back 3 weeks ago, they even took it up to the Cats. So Carlton cannot expect to go over there and get an easy win, because it's not going to work like that. If they don't turn up, if they don't take this game seriously, then West Coast, I think, are going to roll all over them. So big game for the Blues in the context of where they are on the ladder. I think the Eagles have the potential to cause a bit of an upset here. I think Wiedering might come back for the Blues, so that is going to strengthen the Blues outfit. Of course, the Blues did lose last weekend as well as the Eagles. Gee, I'm tempted to tip the Eagles, but I'm going to tip the Blues. I'm going to back them in to go over there, get the job done. So quickly recapping my round 17 tips. I've tipped Melbourne by 8 points. I've tipped the Doggies, Collingwood, Richmond, Fremantle, Port Adelaide, Brisbane, Hawthorn, and Carlton. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, footy fans around the world. That's another episode of Bev's Footy Tips done and dusted. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also comment down below your tips for the upcoming round of footy. And don't forget to press that subscribe button, because I am looking to do a bit more content over the coming weeks. I'm hoping to get a mid-season predictions video out in the coming days, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, bye for now. Go the Mighty Bulldogs!